Well. Today we're going to talk about social justice, really, and social justice, getting your message out through blogging. Hi, I'm Kathleen Gage of Vegan Visibility Productions, and I am with VLynn Hawkins. How are you, VLynn?
I'm doing just fabulous, Kathleen. Thank you for
Well,
asking.
it serves you right. And, I have to say, this mission that we're on is one where we really want to amplify our voices and the voices of our clients. And that's why we do what we do with our live streams, because one of the things that we're so passionate about is being healthy as you age. And a great way to get your message out and really do some advocacy work is with blogging. Yesterday, I had an experience, and I'm still kind of reeling from it. I went to a meeting for my insurance company, my health insurance, and the room was filled with probably about 100 to 150 people. And I have to say, in a sense, I felt like a fish out of water. And the reason being is I was frustrated with the amount of talk around prescription drugs, with the amount of talk around surgeries, with the amount of talk about being ill. And that is our healthcare system today. Because of plant based eating, because of what we're so committed to, we have a whole different message to get out. And one of the best ways to do that is through blogging. And we work with our clients on that also. We have clients who are very into children's health. We have clients who are into, gosh, I'm trying to think, being healthy as you age. We have clients who are into animal advocacy. And one of the best ways to get that message out, amplify your voice, educate and inform and mobilize support is through blogging. So with that, VLynn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I've over the course of my career, some 30, 40 years now, I've always been in this space of social impact and looking for ways to make a bigger impact through the work that you do, especially during this time, this trend that we're in, with really understanding the misguided information that we've been indoctrinated to believe that, for instance, just one instance, milk makes a body good is a total and complete untruth, right? Cow's milk makes a body ill.
Mm-hmm.
And there's numerous studies that prove that. There's numerous conversations around that. And anyone who tries to tell you that it's not something that is harmful to the human body is really uninformed and misguided. And this is the space that we've elected to share in the advocacy for human rights. It's your right to understand that information is not only misguided, but it's harmful to humans. It's your taking that information and doing. My daughter taught me years ago, trust but verify. Trust what I'm saying, but verify it on your own. One of the ways that you can verify information like that is look at the number of blog posts that have been written to support the idea that milk does not do a body good. And that's just one thing. There's so many things in this area, and blogging has been one of the most successful ways for plant-based vegan entrepreneurs to really get their message out there and to use as a platform for their advocacy and social change. So what we want to do is really amplify three things that we've identified that you can utilize and keep in the back of your mind as you are writing more blog posts, as you are sharing your message, because it's time for us to stop sugarcoating things like, I really wanted to say the word we've been lied to, but
We have been lied to, misguided, deceived. You're being very kind. We have been. We've had the, if you will, the wool pulled over our eyes, and
yes.
it's horrendous. It's sad, and it's killing us.
And it's time for us to stand up and to make our voices known And the way that we do that, one huge way we do that is through blogging. If you're not blogging right now, consider beginning. If you are blogging, consider being a little more frank, disruptive, attention grabbing in your blog post, because that's what gets it read.
Right.
Now, you may have some comments coming back to you that aren't what you expect or aren't what you really wanted, but that's okay. You're being read. You're planting seeds. And when the truth really comes out and people are really saying, I read so-and-so's blog article they wrote a couple of years ago that was talking about this, and now I understand. Now I get it. Kathleen, how many of us have been in that situation where we've either read something or heard something, and whether it's a day later, a month later, a year, or 2 years later or more, that we've been able to say, I heard about that. And now you're in that space of trust and verify. You're going to find out more on your own.
Well, I love what you're saying there, because just today I got a message from somebody who they contacted me through LinkedIn, and they said, I've been reading your blog, and gosh, it's been a while since I've actually been consistent on my vegan visibility blog, because we're moving everything over to Vegan Visibility Productions. And he said, I can tell you're an expert in. And he gave me the area that he believes I'm an expert in, because I've written so much about it. And I am an expert in it. It happens to be book marketing. And he said, would you be interested in writing more? And I'm like, okay, let me find out more. Well, that's a direct result of the fact that I've been blogging. And it's like anything. The more you blog, the more you get invited to blog. And it's not just on your blog, but on other people's blogs. So if you have a perspective, a point of view, which we definitely do, you want to amplify your voice with your blog. And the best way to do it is to map out, what do you want to write about? What do you want to be known for? What is something that really just is a thorn in your side? And I have to say, going to that meeting yesterday, that's a thorn in my side. When I look at people that are younger than me, that are so unhealthy, and they don't know any different. And, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not blaming them. I'm pointing fingers at the powers that be that have misguided and misled. So I can use my blog as a way to write a few articles about what my experience was yesterday, because I will tell you, when they said, are there any questions from the audience? And I raised my hand and I said, yes, I'm curious. Do you have any programs that support people making better decisions in life around their health, like not smoking, not drinking, not eating animal and dairy? Well, as soon as I hit the animal and dairy, at first people were like, and I hit the animal and dairy, and people were like, huh? Who is this woman? And the reality is that people do believe the press. They do. And here's the thing. When you read something online, what is it that you said? Trust and verify?
Trust and verify.
Okay. If you see something and it says, okay, this, this is a post about how milk does a body good. Well, look at who the report and the research is funded by. It's probably the dairy industry. So you can't believe everything you read, but a blog is your independent voice. It is your opportunity to speak up against things that are incorrect. It's a great way to educate and inform. One of the things I love doing with my blog posts, and I know you do too, VLynn, is that we want to educate people on what the truth is, that meat and dairy is literally killing us. It is killing us. There is no two ways about it. And people think that we're in a cult and we're fanatics and all that. Well, it's kind of like a parent that's talking to their child when they're in the living room and they're talking about safety and crossing the street. They're very gentle and kind, and they say, when you cross the street, you want to look both ways, and you want to make sure there's an adult with you, and you want, so they give them some information that can help them to stay safe. If that child is in the street and starts running into the street and a car is coming, the parent's not going to go, I think it would be really nice if you got back onto the curb. No, they're going to grab them. They're going to say, no, don't do that. They're going to be in somewhat of an urgent state. And we are in an urgent state with everything that we know and all the research we've done. And we want to encourage you to look at what is important to you and what do you know to be true that other people may not know to be true, but you have done a lot of research and use your blog as a way to educate and inform.
Absolutely. I think that is the key to our being successful in this mission of basically amplifying the voices of those who believe and want to be more deeply entrenched in the conversation of using lifestyle and food as medicine. And I think that as advocates of this lifestyle, we have to be aware that the more thorough we can be as we're writing these blogs, and I don't mean thorough in length as much as I do mean thorough in
You're speaking to me right now.
bringing in the evidence that supports
Right.
what we're talking about, and not just any evidence, the scientific backed evidence
Absolutely.
that supports this conversation. And when we're talking about the reason for blogging, when you are purpose driven in your efforts to educate and inform, you actually come from a deeper perspective. You come from a deeper why, and it influences your writing. It influences your writing.
Mm-hmm.
And people feel that. We do a lot of stuff where it's all head stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You learned how to read to educate yourself, and it was all head stuff, and a lot of it just was not true. I can go into some stuff that we were indoctrinated into in school, and it was all of us, and it was just not true. Like Columbus discovered America when people were already here, and how he got here was through murder and pillaging and, just awful, awful stuff. Yet he was made to be believed as a hero.
Right.
And we have to drill down to where the truth really lies. And a lot of it, unfortunately, lies in graves because people weren't writing.
Right.
People weren't expressing what they knew to be true in the form of words. We have an opportunity now that blogging gives us to not only put our words on paper, but put them on paper and in a place where it can be read by hundreds of millions of people if it gets out there far enough. And so while you want to educate and inform, you also want to think about, where am I posting my blogs?
Right. Right.
Where am I sharing this information? And I go back to your thing with LinkedIn. It's really interesting. I had an email this morning from a guy who said, I found your radio interview. This was a radio interview that I had done several years ago on Business Radio X. And he's like, the content was excellent. I found your website and I looked at some of your blogs. And with that, he works for some media company, would like to offer you an opportunity to talk to see how we might be able to help amplify your message.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, that's very intriguing. So, and I say that because when you are educating and informing, your information doesn't go by the wayside, right? You never know who's going to hear it, read it, see it, and say, oh, this is not only relevant today as much as it was relevant the day it was done, and say, let me reach out to this person. Now, that might be your newest client. That might be a new opportunity for collaboration for you. It may be a new opportunity for somebody to say, join me over here, and you got a new venture partner or something. So educating and informing is huge when it comes to the content of your blogs.
Absolutely. And part of that educating and informing is making sure that your blog post is well written, that you're checking for typos, you're checking for sentence structure, you're checking for punctuation. And truth be told, you can write your blog post and then run it through Chat GPT and ask it to edit and make sure that you go through and read it again, because Chat GPT doesn't get everything right. And some people are they live and die by it now, and it's like no, it's a resource, it's an added tool that you can use. And I want to remind people that you're listening to the Vive Live. I'm Kathleen Gage, and I'm here with VLynn Hawkins, and we are with Vegan Visibility Productions. I would love for you to visit our website at veganvisibilityproductions.com. Check out what we do and the way we amplify our voice and the voices of our clients. Because again, it is about knowing something that's true that other people may not know is true. For example, right now, the overweight and obesity rate in the US is 70 to 80% of the population are overweight and moving towards obesity. It's shocking. Children, it's at about 25-30% of obesity in children. That means children are getting the same diseases that years ago were reserved for adults, and it was a rarity in adults. It's not rare anymore. And one of the primary reasons is because of what they consume. And so part of us amplifying our voice and educating and informing and really mobilizing support with other people in the vegan movement is to bring this information to the forefront so that people can make more informed choices, because a lot of parents do not know what the truth is. They're being led to believe that milk does a body good. They're being led to believe that, oh, chicken is healthier than beef, which that's not true. And they're being led to believe that the healthy choices, because it says healthy choice on the label at the store, where 80% of foods at the store are what are called ultra processed foods. They are deadly foods. And people are like, how could this be? Well, do your research. And that's what we do in our blog post, is we put the information out so that people can get the information quickly. And that's what we encourage you to do, whatever you know the truth to be. And truth can be subjective in some cases. When you're talking religious truth, there's many different truths. And so we're talking scientific proven fact. And so I do encourage you to really look at what you're doing. And again, to please check out our website. And one of the things that you'll find with blog posting is it gives you an opportunity when you are consistent in your blog postings and you have great information. People start following you. They start recommending you to other people. They start mobilizing for you. True, VLynn?
Very true. And that's one of our key points for today as well, is how to get that mobilized support on an issue that you may be talking about in your blog. And there's numerous ways to do that. And what we're talking about here is really engagement. How do you get engagement from your blog posts? You ask for responses, you ask for comments, you ask for with a call to action, people to do something else, like join me at, in the Facebook group or in a LinkedIn group or on your YouTube channel.
Correct.
And there's so many ways for you to mobilize support, and it is support from your community. Now, I don't have a community. If that's you, then you want to mobilize support in places where those communities that have your ideal clients are already established. And how do you do that? You write a guest blog post, or you comment in a Facebook group that you're a part of, and you actually let people know that you're passionate about a certain topic and you've written a blog, and would they read it and share the link within a comment. And it's not to sell. That's a huge thing. You typically don't mobilize support by selling all the time. There are times when you want to bring in the sale, and there are times where you want to bring in the conversation. Bringing in the conversation means that it's more important for you to build a relationship than to get a sale, because the relationship has the potential to get you multiple sales. And maybe not even from that person that you have the relationship with, but maybe people that they have relationships with that they are, like Kathleen said, referring you to. So blog posts have a tremendous opportunity to bring massive value to you. And when you are considering mobilizing support for what it is that you're sharing in a blog or a series of blogs, do a series. Have a call to action. Stay tuned for the next in the series of 6 blog posts that I'm doing. People are going to look for that next one.
Well,
Right?
and get a business partner like VLynn, because you'll write something and you'll think, okay, this is great, it's good to go. And she'll say, you could split this up to 3, 4, 5 blog posts. It's like, oh, okay. And so it helps to get some good feedback too, because that will help you to fine tune your message, and you actually will get more SEO that way. You'll get more traction that way. Now, one of the things I wanted to add in, VLynn, which, by the way, thank you for splitting up my blog post, because you took what could have been a novel and you broke it down into usable blog posts. And the one thing about when you approach a host of a blog, when you go to the blog owner and you say, I'd like to write for your blog, make sure you know what that blog is about. I've had people who have approached me to be on my podcast show, write for my blog, do whatever, that are not aligned with the plant-based vegan message, that they actually want to write about the nutrition, but nutrition in, let's say the keto diet with high meat consumption. And it's like, why would I put that on my blog? I'm not going to do it. And I've had people who have pushed back on that and said, well, you've got to give a different perspective and a different point of view. It's like, no, I do not need to do anything that I don't want to do on my blog. So when you approach a host, or an owner of a blog, you want to make sure you know what that blog is about, because it's very clear on what we do that we only host those people who are aligned with the vegan and plant-based message. They're 100% void of animal and dairy. We're very clear on that branding. And so the mistake you can make is to upset a blog owner and say, oh, you're wrong. It's like, no, they're not wrong. They have every right to brand in whatever way they want to. But guest blogging is a great way to get long-term results. Now, keep in mind that it's not you do something today and you get an immediate response tomorrow. It could be that the best story I can think of is Alex Ferrari, who is with Next Level Soul podcast. And he talks about how he had put probably 100 episodes out where he was getting okay traction, but nothing to write home about. All of a sudden, one episode exploded. And it could be one blog post explodes and just like goes viral. And all of a sudden, all those previous blog posts that you did are going to get more traction. So don't think that because maybe 5 people read it or 10 people read it, that that's not good. That's 5 or 10 people that didn't read your information before. And rather than worry about your numbers, concern yourself with giving great content, because if you have excellence in what you do, it's going to catch up and people will start following you.
They most definitely will. And we're in an era now that more people are looking at the social impact, social change factor. We do programs and projects, and we look at, who can we align with to maybe donate a portion of our proceeds to a nonprofit that we would love to support, or have them come in and talk about their nonprofit to our group. There's numerous ways for you to make that social impact that leads to the kind of change, especially in today's health environment, that people hear and want to know more about, because of the fact that you're looking at not just being the voice of everything that you do, but sharing the voice, amplifying other voices. One of the organizations we belong to has a motto. One of their core values is lift as we climb. And while I'm really all about the flow, and water doesn't climb, it flows. I can certainly lift as I am flowing through this river of prosperity and impact and change to bring us to a healthier human side of the world, a healthier space for animals, and a healthier planet, because we're all interconnected. You were talking about alignment, and I really appreciated that, because there are so many people who think that, it's beyond the grasping at the shiny object and being in that shiny object syndrome. And it's more about, okay, I'll take what you've got. I'll talk about what you're talking about, or I'll be here and I'll be there and I'll be the chameleon. You won't get seen as a chameleon, and
Right.
you won't have people understanding how to align with you. So it's really important for you to be clear on your own core values so that people will know how they are in alignment with you or not, because it's about the golden thread that weaves through and connects us all, because we are all interconnected.
Absolutely.
And we are all hopefully flowing in the same direction when it comes to moving this message of using lifestyle and food as medicine forward. And when we are, things are easy, right? When we aren't, we feel the resistance. And in the resistance can be good, because we want to create the resistance to help people to wake up to this message, but we still want to flow. We still want to build on the momentum that we have garnered and gained from the people that have gone before us. And then there's us, and there will be people coming behind us, looking at us as the people coming before them.
Right, right.
And this is how we make that impact. We have to stand for enough that people will feel that they are aligned and they do know the truth about what has happened and what is happening, so that we can create some change.
When you pull back the curtain and you see what has gone on behind the curtain, and we've been deceived around it's shocking. And for people like us, it makes us even more determined to get the message out. And I want to give our listeners and viewers some ideas on how they can do a really, really powerful blog post. Now, let's say that your thing is getting on podcast shows, and you've been getting on a lot of podcast shows, and you kind of leave it at that. That's not where you leave it. When you're on a podcast show, you should be promoting that out to your social media community. If you have an email list, when you have a blog, you can write a blog post about that particular episode. What we do when people are on our podcast show, we provide them with that information. And we say, okay, here's something that you can put on social media. You can tweet about it. You can put it on your blog. But let's say that you're on some podcasts that are very aligned with your branding and your message. You can actually write a nice blog post about that. And some people say, well, I want to get on podcasts, but I don't know how. So I'm giving you kind of a double-edged opportunity here. One is I'm going to invite you to get our checklist, which is the podcast guesting checklist. And it'll take you step by step. Here's what you need to do to get on podcast. Okay, so let's say you've been on 5 podcasts, and we have a client who had never been on podcast before. And after the first one, she was on fire, and people would hear her and say, come on my podcast, come on my podcast. So one thing led to another, and she does social media around that. She does blogging around it. But here's the thing, get on podcast shows and then write a blog post about the host, about the theme, about the branding, all of that. And you can share that out to your social media market. Mm-hmm. So it never ends. It's like really what it is like thinking beyond what's right in front of you, and how can I reach more and more and more people with my message. I'm going to go back to yesterday. I'm still like, I am so reeling from my experience yesterday. I had a great workout because of it, because I'm at the gym and I'm thinking, I'm going to be 70 in a couple of months and I'm doing pretty darn good. And yeah, let's lift those weights. And I felt empowered. I really felt empowered. But rather than just leave the meeting and be frustrated with what I heard, when they announced that they were looking for people who use their insurance to be on a committee for advocacy and community involvement. I don't know the exact name of the committee, but when they said that, I raised my hand and I said, count me in, because I thought there's nothing better than being a voice within this community to strike up some change. Now, once I get on the committee, guess what I'm going to do? This is for our listeners and our viewers. I'm going to talk about it on our podcast show. So I'm going to make sure that people know that I am working from the inside out. I'm going to actually do a media release around it. It's going to be posted on our website, and I'm going to do some blog posts around it. So I'm doing everything that I encourage our clients to do. I don't just talk about this, I walk the talk. And I actually had somebody recently who questioned me about my authenticity around being a vegan, because he wanted to be on my podcast to talk about goal setting or something. And I'm like, well, I don't think you've really done your research on my podcast. He goes, I love your podcast. It's great, blah, blah, blah. And when he told me what he wanted to talk about, and I said, are you vegan? That's like always my first question. He goes, no, but don't you talk about these things in business? I said, actually, yes, we do. And he goes, well, I suppose then you must be a vegan and you walk your talk. And I said, actually, yes, I am. And I have been since 2018. So, it was like I just was able to come back in a very nice way to say, I don't want you to write for my blog. I don't want you to be on my podcast, because I want to amplify the voice and the message of what we are so committed to. So with that, VLynn, we've been going for nearly a half hour. We've been going over a half hour. And what are your final thoughts for people as we close for today?
Well, taking it back to the beginning, I believe that those of us who are in this conversation really are advocates for social impact when it comes to people being healthier, freeing our animals from their suffering, and helping to heal the planet. We are in a space where blogging is a definite tool. It's an opportunity. It's a platform that we can utilize in order to get our voices heard. Now, taking it beyond that, blog in other people's blog settings as a guest blogger, and invite others to blog in yours that can contribute to the conversation that you're delivering. And it's really key that we do this now, because we were talking yesterday and it became very clear to us that there are so many aspects of what it is that we're doing in this space that now is the time.
Absolutely.
It's like, I think you said not long ago about when was the time to plant a tree 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Right now.
Right.
We are here right now, and it is time to do this now. So we're actually excited about it, because we get to see what blogs posts are happening out there. And if there are things that are aligned with our messaging, we're looking to make those invitations. We're looking to have those invitations made to us to share some of our blogs on other people's blog destinations.
Absolutely. And what I want to give people a little tip on how to get invited to write on other blogs is, when you write a blog post at the end, you can put something like a short little bio, a 2-liner bio, and available to guest blog. With the fact that VLynn and I both are writing for the Vegan Visibility Productions blog and website, we each are going to have little bylines. Like if we both write the article, we don't need that. But if I write one or she writes one, we'll say, this was written by Kathleen Gage. Kathleen Gage is available for guest blogging. This was written by VLynn Hawkins. VLynn Hawkins is available for guest blogging. So you want to basically say, I'm available. And to the right people. Well, I'm not really available, but that's a whole different story. But I'm available for
blogging. We're talking blogging.
No, I went off on a tangent. Okay, but with that being said, VLynn, I so appreciate all you're doing to raise the voice of the voiceless, if you will, to amplify the message of the healthy living lifestyle. Food as medicine, lifestyle medicine. It's all very important, because truth be told is we don't have time to wait. It has to happen now. We can't wait. This is Kathleen Gage saying thank you so much. And
VLynn Hawkins saying, we'll see you next time.
We sure will.
5 Live. Bye for now.